Tonight in our Because It Matters series, we bring you the story of Paige, the only child in New Zealand who has been stripped of her mother's identity on her birth certificate. Instead of her mum's name, it simply says not recorded.
It's a surrogacy birth dream that has become a nightmare. Now the families involved are fighting to make it right. National Correspondent Paige Gower has this exclusive report.
This is Paige. 18 months old at the playground with her dad Kyle, just like any other kid.
Hold on.
Except for this. Officially, Paige has no mother. Her birth certificate just says not recorded.
Not recorded, which is, when that turned up in the mail, worse than having nothing written there, you know. It's sort of a bit of a kick in the guts.
It hurt because Paige has a mum. His wife, Kat.
That was really hard.
Paige's life started like so many others. Kyle and Kat fell in love and got married.
She really, really wanted to be a mum.
But for Kat, pregnancy would be unsafe. She was born with cystic fibrosis, which destroys the lungs. But she had a lung transplant, and it worked, although carrying a child was too much.
Surrogacy, you know, that seemed to be the most logical first step for us.
Surrogacy would mean IVF, in vitro fertilisation, taking Kat's eggs, adding Kyle's sperm, creating an embryo and transferring that to a surrogate mother.
We thought, why not? We've finished our family.
Their friends Renee and Josh were keen for Renee to carry the baby.
I just wanted to help someone, I don't know, I just wanted to give someone
Everyone
that.
deserves to be a parent.
Yeah.
I think everyone deserves to be a parent.
Surrogacy required ethical approval, but with her doctor saying her chances of living at least another 10 years was 92.6%, it was approved.
She was so happy.
And when Kyle and Kat's embryo was transferred to Renee, the pregnancy worked first time.
It was massive, massive.
We were just stoked that it worked first go, it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Then everything changed.
So, just chronic rejection of the transplant.
Kat was dying as the baby was growing.
Having those conversations with your wife, who's 37, is pretty hard about, you know, what did she want me to do in regards to, I suppose, life and the baby and all that sort of stuff.
Surrogacies rely on an after-birth adoption happening. An intended mother had never died ahead of birth before. They knew there would be problems with the birth certificate.
I promised her I'd figure something out.
Before she died, Kat chose a name after a dog she got aged 15.
Paige, I want to call her Paige. And she said, you know, I had Paige before I met you to look after me, so I'm going to leave Paige to look after you.
Kat died before Paige was born, and then came the surreal adoption ceremony.
It wasn't how it was meant to be.
Under the 1955 law, a mother has to be alive at the adoption for the name to go on the birth certificate. That's why Kat is not recorded.
All Catherine ever wanted to be was a mother, and she deserves to be on that birth certificate.
Josh has taken up the fight for Paige to have her mother's name recorded, even writing to the Prime Minister. But so far, nothing. Nobody will help.
Paige doesn't deserve that. She deserves to have that. Her birth certificate's her identity.
Just put the name on the piece of paper.
Go! Yeah!
So, Patrick, why hasn't anything been done to put the mother's name on Paige's birth certificate?
Well, the Department of Internal Affairs has confirmed to me that this is the only time that this has happened. This is the only time that an intended mother has died before the child is born, and Paige is therefore the only child ever in New Zealand to have her mother not recorded on the birth certificate. And the reason, as you saw there, is that the law simply does not allow it. A mother has to be alive at the point of adoption, and the problem is that surrogate births, despite being really quite common these days and around for a long time, are still governed essentially through a backdoor arrangement with the Adoption Act, meaning the options for these families are very, very limited. Going back into the courts and taking a risky and very, very expensive court action to try and reverse it, or waiting for the government to change the laws around surrogacy, which could take years and years and years and may not be retrospective. And in case you're wondering at home, birth certificates are changed all the time. In the case, for instance, of when two dads take on a surrogate birth, after the adoption, two fathers are listed on the birth certificate. Now, there will not be a New Zealander, I do not think, who would complain about Paige's mother being put on that birth certificate. And what they need now is for someone to take some common sense and give Paige back the identity. As you saw Josh say there, he believes every person should have the opportunity to be a parent, and therefore every child should have their mother's identity or their parent's identity on their birth certificate if they want it.
Okay, thanks for that, Patrick Gower.